When Sylvester Stallone was young, before Rocky, he wanted to be a writer. He hired a hypnotist with the last $300 that he had to his name and worked with him for confidence and creativity. He wrote Rocky, and he turned down hundreds of thousands of dollars for the rights to the screenplay because he wanted to star in it as well. But he he used hypnosis both for creativity, for confidence, so he could be that man and see where it led him.
Does what you discover as a child impact the path you take in life? Do kids really grow up to be what they want to be as adults? Because when you're a kid, people tell you that you can be anything you want to be in life. No one ever says, no kid, you can't do that. Yes, you can be an astronaut. Yes, you can be a doctor. Yes, you can be a magician. You can be anything you want to be in life. But as adults, are you stuck in your adult thinking? Are you getting in your own way? Have you ever considered hypnosis as the answer? Could it help you get unstuck? Some of the leading celebrities and business professionals in the world use hypnosis to get to their best capabilities. In today's podcast, we have Joshua Peters, who is the Twin City hypnotist with integrated hypnosis to give us all the answers. My name's Travis Sims, and I am the founder and CEO of AGC Accelerated Global Connections. And this is the AGC Experience.
Businesses everywhere strive to be seen and heard in today's marketplace. Gone are the days when a simple "Open for Business" sign could be hung and a Yellow Pages ad created, resulting in customers pouring through the doors. Clarity Marketing specializes in social media strategy and execution. The Clarity Marketing team is more than just a faceless vendor. They become a seamless execution of the brands they serve, achieving a common goal of business success. If your company is looking for a premier social media marketing agency that is responsive and invested in your success, contact Clarity Marketing at 651-214-7290. Again, that's 651-214-7290.
Today's podcast is with Joshua Peters, who is a Twin City hypnotist at an integrated hypnosis. Josh, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. You just recently did a talk for AGC. It was absolutely fantastic. Now I can't wait to share you with our podcast audience. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Travis. I'm pretty excited to be here too. As you said, I'm Josh Peters. I'm focusing on working here in the Twin Cities. And I've really been interested in hypnosis for most of my life since I was 13, and I found a book on self-hypnosis in the school library. And you could tell this was back when they had slips in the back of the book where you would write your name on it and they'd punch a date on there so you knew when it was overdue. I knew that I was the only person who ever read this book because I was the only one who ever had my name on that slip. I used this book to learn some techniques of self-hypnosis that were mostly about relaxation and doing better on schoolwork. But it really sparked my interest so that when I had an opportunity, finally about 5 years ago, to do the training, I had a local school that I could work with, and I got to go all in and really learn all the amazing things you can really do when you're using hypnosis in a therapeutic way to help people resolve the challenges in their life. It was important to me because I had spent a good part of my life just really stuck in a bad situation. And mostly it was because I stuck myself there. I didn't believe that I would be able to do anything else than what I was doing. But when I finally broke out of that and started transforming my life, it took about 15 years, but here I am now in a completely different place, really beginning to embody the freedom that I have been looking for that whole time. When I discovered hypnosis and the true power that it has, I just realized that if I could help other people get unstuck in an easier way and faster than it took me, that would be the most empowering way I could possibly live my life. So that's why I went all in. That's why I do what I do.
Wow. I love, first of all, that you want to pay this forward. Like, I was stuck for this long and no one else should have to be stuck this long. And if you have the ability to help someone and to get them through it faster, that's what is your why. It's like that. This is what drives me to help others. And I think that's fantastic. And I also took away that like at 13 years old, first of all, you're in the library, which is pretty impressive to be that's where you were spending time at 13-year-old boy. And then secondly, that this is what drew your attention. And it makes me think we share a lot of that in common because, I'm a magician and I started out as a kid. I was 7 years old. A magician came to my school and I was so excited. Then right after that, I got a magic set for Christmas. Then all the pieces got lost and some of them got broken. And I had to look for other ways to learn how to do magic. And one of them was the library. And we didn't have the internet back then.
Right.
We couldn't just go Google and learn how to do hypnosis or how to do magic. We had to go to the library. And so I think that's really cool. And where you've taken it from that moment to now, and what things got in the way or how things changed, but from 13 years old to now, you've rediscovered hypnosis and at some point in the way, and you've made that your profession.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a creative background. I was a graphic designer for many years, and I've been a performer as well for many years. And also been in the corporate world in regulatory. So a very, very dry situation. But It helped me realize how important creativity is for me.
And when you said performer, what do you mean by performer?
I do, part of my process of getting unstuck was learning that I like to perform, learning that I like to be in front of an audience. And how I did that was I was helping my kids' school raise money for theater curtains.
Oh.
And the first year I helped by arranging for a murder mystery dinner theater. The second year I ended up directing that show. The third year we did a old time medicine show.
Oh, fun.
One of the things I wanted to do in that old time medicine show was kind of like a sideshow act.
Yes.
And the whole thing was going to end with fire eating. That was how the whole night would end. I knew some guys that did fire breathing and spinning. So, they can do fire breathing and spinning. They can do fire eating too. I was wrong. Turns out that there's a lot of people out there that are really bad at these things and are actually kind of dangerous. And these people were some of them. So I still wanted to do the show. And so I learned how to do it myself safely, or as safely as you possibly can. Never do this at home, kids.
Right.
Use a mentor. I learned from a video, but I was real careful. And so I learned how to do fire eating. I learned how to do the human blockhead. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's basically pounding a nail into your face through your nostrils. My goodness. It's actually relatively easy to do if you know the anatomy behind it. Learn to do those two things. And then we had a lot of joke gags in it as well, like a man eating chicken, which is my adult son standing there eating a piece of chicken. Things like that. It was fun, but the audience really reacted in a powerful way to the blockhead and the fire eating.
Yeah.
And I really liked the mental game about doing something. It's relatively easy to do both of those things, but you got to wrap your head around the fact that you're pounding a nail into your face with a hammer and you're shoving a burning torch into your mouth, right? Two things people don't normally do. For me, it was about fear and pushing past fear, which is what the whole years of being stuck was about. I hadn't pushed back my fear.
Yeah.
So I got really interested in sideshow acts and escape artists acts and found a mentor to teach me that and built a show. And I wanted to do something different than what most people do, which is usually people are doing a shock show. And so you'll see, the tattooed guy freaking people out at the bars and things like that. And I didn't have any interest in that. I had 5 kids at the time, lived in a small town in Wisconsin, which is filled with small towns. There's hardly any cities in Wisconsin at all. And I knew if I wanted to make a living, I'd have to make a show that actually worked there. So I made a sideshow and escape artist act that was geared towards families and audiences of all ages and small town festivals. So that's what it is. It's made for small town festivals across the Midwest. And I've toured it across the country for the last 12 years.
Wow.
The Dangerous Fun Show. DangerousFunShow.com.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome. So you still do a little bit of that then?
I still do some of that, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how that's always, I guess, integrated into us. I, as a magician, performed all over the country and had a traveling show and did many fairs and festivals and hung out with guys just like you. And it's not the norm for probably our audience, but it's the norm for us. And I love the entertainment side of it, but I also know that our audience at home, whether they're listening or they're watching, probably is widely executives and CEOs and business owners, salespeople, entrepreneurs. And although they're probably entertained and they're intrigued into what we're saying, I know too that you've been able to take your career from an entertainment standpoint and really develop it into this highly successful business practice where you're helping a lot of people get unstuck, like you said you were all those years ago. And so with that perspective, what are some of the reasons that people choose hypnosis?
Yeah. Well, as you alluded to, I really do focus on entrepreneurs and executives and public speakers, people that are relatively successful. And yet they're recognizing that they're holding themselves back in some way, which we all do.
Yeah.
So hypnosis is a way of getting at those unconscious behaviors and beliefs and habits that we don't really think about. And through that process of going into that trance and doing the change work, which is probably a little too much to go into here exactly how that's done, but we do that and we get past the fear. We put that behind you, shut the door behind you, and really create a new you. So, for instance, I see people who want to be better public speakers. I see people who are looking for motivation or discipline. Mm-hmm. I've been working with a client recently who, and this is pretty common, people that I see, she has done really well at her job. She's really good at what she does. And so the company she's working for thought, great, let's put her into a management role. Oftentimes this happens, you get put into a management role, but you don't get any training. They just assume you know really well how to do this job. Let's take you out of that job and put you in charge of a bunch of people.
Right.
So those are the kind of people who they get stuck. She starts to question herself. She's starting to question her own abilities. She's having a harder time speaking up in meetings and sharing the great knowledge that she really has. I've been working with her to feel more confident around that and to get past the projects that she's been procrastinating on. During one of our last sessions that we had together, I had her imagine just doing the smallest step of one of those projects that she's been procrastinating on. And the smallest step was basically just starting to gather information. It really wasn't even working on the project. But this project is due by the end of the year, and she's had all year to do it. So she's really been procrastinating quite a while, and she's feeling stressed out now. It's affecting these things. What I find is they don't just affect your workplace, they affect your whole life.
Yeah.
A public speaker who's afraid of public speaking is stressed out at home and not present with his family. At work, they're distracted. So when we resolve the one issue, it typically spreads. It's like ripples. It goes out into your whole life and can really make a huge difference for people. For her, she did the smallest step. When I saw her the next week, she actually got that project done and another project just done, because all she had to do was get started. And the overwhelm that she had about this, what she saw is a huge project, it turned out to actually not be that big of a deal once she just got started. The momentum started at like rolling that boulder down a hill. It just keeps going.
You mentioned public speaking and speakers. They say the number one fear for most people is public speaking.
Beyond even higher than death.
I know, which is crazy to me. They'd rather be the person who's in the casket than the one delivering the eulogy.
Yes.
And so that's surprising to me, but for most, that's a real fear. And they also say that 99% of someone's fears will never happen, but we're all scared to death of that 1%. And so when I think about hypnosis, it's about getting past the 1%. It's about turning up that degree, being that little margin of excellence, adding that thing to your toolbox that is going to propel you ahead of yourself, which is what's getting in the way. And so I'm curious, when someone is considering how they're going to do that, probably hypnosis isn't the first thing they think of, right?
That's right.
How does someone get to that spot? Or how do we share what information you have as far as like, hey, you should try hypnosis? I mean, it's different. I mean, people might think business coaching, or they might think, oh, you should read this book, or you should go to this workshop. Mm-hmm. Tell us how hypnosis is either different or how we get it in front of them.
Sure. And people do all those things. In fact, they go to workshop after workshop and they read book after book, shelf help, I like to call it, because they leave those books on the shelf, right? They listen to all kinds of talks and they still are stuck.
Yeah.
Hypnosis typically, and it's really unfortunate that this is the truth at this moment in time, but typically the last resort. Mm-hmm. Somebody that's tried everything else, somehow they realize, or they hear a story about how hypnosis can help. Like, well, I've tried everything else. I guess I might as well try this. The science out there actually shows that hypnosis in many cases, including for health, is so effective. It actually should be a first line of defense rather than the last thing to do. And there's all kinds of scientific articles and testing out there that proves this. So it's not just that I'm saying it, there's actually a lot of proof around this. How I help to dispel some of these things is just by getting out there. So I love speaking, as I did at AGC. I get to different places. I've talked at gyms, at chiropractors, to different companies and work with their teams. So I love explaining how this can help. And really, actually what I do is give like you saw at AGC, I like to give you an experience, because that's really the best way to understand how hypnosis works. I could talk about it all day, but until you can actually feel it, you're not going to really understand how powerful it can be.
And it makes you more receptive. And so what would you say to someone that maybe they've thought of hypnosis, but they're a little scared of it?
Sure. There's a few misconceptions people have, hypnosis is going to make me quack like a duck. I hear that all the time, which if you want to quack like a duck, I guess we could do that, but it's really not going to help you get to where you want to go. And I'm committed to getting you to where you want to go, not make you do something silly. Hypnosis is going to make me lose control. That's a common one. And people, the truth is, you never are out of control. In fact, if you want to do something in your life and you're doing something else instead, who's in control?
Yeah.
Hypnosis helps you take control of your life. That's the truth of it. One of the other common misconceptions about hypnosis is that you might share your secrets. I'm going to put you into hypnosis and you're going to share all your deepest, darkest secrets. Again, you're not going to share anything with me that you don't want to share. One of the interesting things, whenever I take a client into hypnosis for the very first time, I guide them to let go of all the expectations that they have because they are almost entirely wrong. Yeah. And to just let the experience be what it is. Oftentimes they are surprised at how much they remember about the session. Because what you see on the movies is that I say sleep and I snap my finger, oh, come back.
Right.
And then they go right down and don't remember anything. I just say some words and they come up and everything is changed for them. But the truth is much different than that. It's really a co-created process. I'm like a guide and you are the one doing the work in your own mind. But there's a lot of back and forth. I get feedback from you because that helps me to guide you.
So really, hypnosis is partially, it's training your mind and brain. And so I think, for example, as a business professional myself, like I use daily affirmations. Mm-hmm. I have a vision board on the things that I want to create in my life. And I see that vision board twice a day minimum every day. And it keeps me focused on the goals and things that I want to accomplish. And then I think about even like motivational speakers or teachers that do like fire walking and things like that. I would think that has to be some level of hypnosis because you're getting beyond what the mind is telling you or where you're going to be roadblocked at. And like, I can do this. I will accomplish this. I will do this. And you have to do it in the mind before you can do it in the body. Is that?
It's absolutely right. Yeah. You can only do what you can imagine. Yeah. So until you imagine something, you're just going to stay where you're stuck.
Yeah.
One of my favorite activities to do with clients is to just bring them into the future. Imagine what it's like a year from now when that challenge that you've had has been gone for a year. How can you tell just by looking at yourself that that challenge is gone? Maybe it's just a different expression on your face. And just really get people into that image of what this future you can look like. And again, imagination isn't just visual, it's auditory, it's even taste. I add in as much as possible to really engage your imagination in a powerful way.
Yeah. Sometimes I think that people make out, obviously in their own mind, about what hypnosis is and whether or not they should do it. But some of celebrities and leading experts and things are doing hypnosis. And maybe it's because they're more open to trying new things, or they're at a spot in their life where they're like already confident, they're already successful. And I just find it interesting that in that world, it seems to be acceptable, but yet someone wanting to try something new in their business is wondering, is this the right step for me? And maybe I'm just sounding this out, but it just, with the idea of like, oh, wow, my favorite celebrity did this, or my favorite talk show host did this, or whatever, makes me feel a little comfortable.
Sure. And well, this is because the top performers are using hypnosis.
Top performers,
because
that makes sense.
It's a secret. It really is a secret weapon. It's that it gives them that little extra edge. Sometimes that's all you need, is that little bit extra. Sometimes it blows you away. Who's the author of Rocky? What's the actor in Rocky?
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone, right. I was blanking on his name. When Sylvester Stallone was young, before Rocky, he wrote that. I don't know if you know that.
I do, yes.
When he wanted to be a writer, he hired a hypnotist with the last $300 that he had to his name and worked with him for confidence and creativity. he wrote Rocky, and he turned down hundreds of thousands of dollars for the rights to the screenplay because he wanted to star in it as well.
Yeah.
But he eventually, so he used hypnosis both for creativity, for confidence, so he could be that man and see where it led him.
I knew portions of that story, and I didn't realize that he had used hypnosis to get there. And I think that's awesome. And since we're sounding things out, one of the things that makes me think of is like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey wrote a check to himself for whatever
$1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah,
$1 million. And he carried it in his wallet. And every time he opened his wallet to get groceries or go to the gas station or whatever, he would see that check that was written into himself.
For acting services.
Yes. Yeah. And then when he did his first major movie, which was Pet Detective, then that's exactly what his wage was.
Yeah.
And I think that whenever you tap into something and you're so focused on it and you really want to create that success and you see it over and over again, that's what gets you from that level from good to great and from great to excellent. So I'm curious from you, if I said, hey, I wanted to work with you and I was interested in your services, what's the length of a hypnosis session? And how often would someone see you? Just like the practical portions.
Sure. Well, it always starts with what I call a strategy session.
Okay.
I sit down or do a Zoom video call. So I sit down with you remote or virtually, remote or in person. We really get clear on your challenge.
Yeah.
How it's affecting, like I said before, all the areas of your life, where you want to go, and then how hypnosis can help get you there. I always give a bit of an experience and start to let that issue go. So even by that strategy session, oftentimes people are starting to get some change happening in their life. But to fully answer your question, sessions are about an hour, including that strategy session. They are typically weekly, and it kind of depends on what you really want. But I usually will see people for 6, 12, or 18 sessions. That's kind of what I'm working with right at this moment.
Okay. So it could be someone that's interested in, like, I've got this project that I'm working on and I have this timeline to do it in, or I'm going to be speaking or training or coaching or whatever at this date. And I want, if they're allowing themselves 6 weeks, 8 weeks lead up to that, then that would be a good approach.
Absolutely. And sometimes I've done more than one session in a week to try and accommodate somebody. Yeah. So, people are under deadlines like test anxiety. They have a test they need to take. Yeah. I've worked with people for that. I worked with a trucker who had white coat syndrome, which I had never heard of until he came along, but he needed to have his blood pressure taken. And every time he'd go to the doctor to get his blood pressure taken, it would jump through the roof because he's sitting in front of doctors. At home, it's fine. So I worked with him to
calm his nerves.
Yeah, just to give him some tools to be calm and relaxed when he's in the doctor's office. So that's another kind of, I've seen people for public speaking that they have to give a speech at a certain time. Or like this woman who's got to get her work done before the year is over.
Sure.
So oftentimes there's some type of deadline that people are looking for that we target. And what's great is if that happens before our session times are done, because then whatever challenges may be left over, we can then clear up after they've had an experience, a successful experience, but maybe there's a little bit left to do.
Sure. Now, I originally met you doing business networking, and then you later became an AGC member, and I see you networking events all the time. You've been a speaker. You seem to be pretty active inside AGC. So I'm curious, because you're not the realtor, the mortgage, the insurance person, or whatever profession that we see a lot of that are networking these events. And how has AGC, has it been a good experience for you? Are you, as a hypnotist, are you able to make the connections that you need to meet?
Sure.
And has it translated to business at this point, or are you in the funnel process of developing that business? And just tell me, how has it been for you with AGC?
Yeah, for me, it's about making connections, because like I said, I really like to do speaking and working with companies and with teams. So AGC's been great for that. I've started to get to know some of these companies, some of these leaders that are also members of AGC. I've met a lot of people across the cities through AGC. I've picked up some clients, but I consider it a long game where this is the community that I want to be part of. Yeah. And so I'm committed to getting to as many of them as I can in a month, was usually 2 or 3 of them.
Sure.
And just really getting to know people and let these relationships organically grow.
I'm glad you said that organically, because really it doesn't matter what the business is unless it's a transactional business and it's like, I need that service right now. And I went into the event and I knew I needed it and you just happen to be there. Mm-hmm. For most of us, it takes that repetitiveness of I saw you at an event and then I saw you at a second event. Now we've had a mini conversation. We're having another mini conversation. Now we're having a longer conversation. Then we're getting to coffee. Now I'm more open to learning more about you and what you do and how we might be able to work together. And I could totally see even in some professions where that sales cycle is shorter and sometimes it's longer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, great. I know my audience out there is probably wondering at this point, I've tried, if you're someone out there right now and you have tried business coaching, you have maybe went to workshops and conferences, you got books all over the shelf, and you still see that you're stuck, you're having the same issues and you're having to go back and get short doses of this all the time. And I'm thinking hypnosis might be the answer. Mm-hmm. This might be the thing that I've been looking for. I didn't know I was looking for it, but I know now. How do we find you? Is there a website? Is there something that you want to share with the audience at home so that they can find you after today's podcast?
Sure. You can find me on most social media, on Facebook, LinkedIn, in Instagram. My handle is Joshua Ray Peters, R-E-Y, Joshua Ray Peters. You can find me that way. My website is integratedhypnosis.com. And for your listeners, I have a special gift. So if you go to integratedhypnosis.com/AGC, you can get a free download of an audio recording hypnosis process called Calm, Confident, and in Control. And it leads you through, basically takes you into hypnosis and gives you what we call an anchor so that you can feel that confidence at any moment that you need it.
Wow, thank you so much. That's awesome. I can't wait now to go and listen. This is going to be amazing. Thank you for that gift for our audience. And thank you for being a guest. It's so great to have you on the show and learn even more about you as a member of AGC and just someone who's interesting and different than anything else that we run into at AGC. So it's been a fun experience. Thank you for being here today. I greatly appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And being in front of your audience.
Awesome. And if you're watching or listening the AGC Experience podcast show, please share it, tell others about it. We always have amazing talent and great people on our shows. And so come back, visit often, and share it with others.
This podcast was produced by Elation Studios. Go to www.elationstudios.co. That's www.elationstudios.co to learn more. Elation Studios. Discover your voice, clarify your vision, build your life.